Hello everyone and welcome to another youth program. Today we have with us two friends, Freddy and Denzel, who are musicians, teachers and guitar extraordinaire. We are so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having us in this space, and let's move on. The first question that I'd love to ask you, Freddy, is both of you actually tell us something about what it is that you do.
Well, I've started music quite a while, and I'm also a teacher, a music educator, a session musician, and more than that, music arranger. Then I got into guitar tech. So that is a few things about me.
All right, and you, Denzel?
I am a musician. I am also a sound engineer, a sound producer, and a guitar technician. So I've been working with Freddy for a couple of years now. And so let's see what other questions you have.
My next question to you, Ba Freddy and Ba Denzel, is what got you into music and how long have you been performing?
My father was a musician.
Mm-hmm.
He was a vocal. He is a vocally trained musician, and he used to teach these children in churches.
Oh wow!
And he taught me the first chord, which I still remember, and he taught me the first scale on guitar.
Oh.
And he used to play for us in church as well.
Nice.
And I believe it's in the blood from my father. My uncle is there, my cousins and all. So as always, as a Khasi guy, it runs in the family, I believe. And since then, I believe I started learning proper guitar as a beginner. In 1995, if I'm not mistaken, I started. And then my formal training started from 2002. And so you can count from the years. I don't know how many years it has been going, and still running, still doing a lot of session in studios for artists, less for myself though, but it will keep happening. So that's
You, Ba Denzel?
Okay, as for me, I don't have much of a beautiful historical family, as you say. I came from a musical family, but I've always been interested in the sounds that I've been hearing ever since I was in school.
Yes.
In cassettes, in all these medias where we can hear, right?
Yes.
So I've always been interested in these sounds, where they're coming from, how are they being recorded, all those things. So basically I was interested ever since I was in school, probably about 98 or so. And then I started picking up instruments later in the late 2000s.
Okay.
So
And
I was not really much of a performer. I'm more inclined into
sound
production,
design and
sound
things like
design
that.
and all
Yes.
those things, yeah.
I because you were telling me earlier that do you own a music studio or something
No,
like
actually
that?
I don't own. I am an engineer in a Oval Rocker studio.
Oh, wonderful. We'll get more into that in a
Yes,
bit.
please.
I think that'll be more of your forte instead of me
probably,
asking you
probably.
where all have you. But I think sometimes conversations like this drift away, or but always so connected to the type of questions. The very so we'll get into that later. Right. Okay, Ba Freddy, from hearing your experiences and what it is that you do, I can understand that you're very into folk music and that you create folk music. I would like to know, how would you describe the music that you typically create, and I'd also like to ask you another question. That's have you performed anywhere outside of Shillong? This applies to the both of you, because I understand that even Ba Denzel likes to play or is into folk music. So anything that you'd like to talk about?
So as a musician, I'm a Western classical guitar player, and I got introduced into folk music when I started my studies in Anthony's College for my bachelor's. And the teachers over there, I still remember one of my guru was, we call him Ma Curious Walang. He taught us how to play the duitara, and we used to call her Ma'am Helen Giri.
Okay.
She taught us everything about Khasi music, right from how to play the percussions and the songs and everything. And then I got involved with Jiban Roy Creative Arts from my friend, and from there we started going to programs. But till then I still play guitar.
Okay.
And then my other guru, Sir Meban Lingdo, who has taught us in my masters how to play the duitara and the other string instruments. He had invited me to join the HDCWO, which is the Hinyo Trap Cultural Welfare Organization. And over there we were session musicians. So I was introduced I was taught how to perform as a session musician, not as a soloist, actually, not as an artist, a solo artist. So by listening to all these various artists, it got into me that, most of the Khasi music, it's totally different from Western music. And then somehow inside of me, I wanted to collaborate the Western style and the folk, Khasi folk music, because I wanted to experiment, because I was living in the era where everyone was experimenting different elements of music. So due to that, I believe that up till now, whatever music that I'm trying to create, especially in the studios as a music arranger for other artists, I believe that it's not as typical as the Khasi music that we would hear, but also not totally diverted into Western culture as well. But I try to bring in the missing link between the two. So that is how I would believe that my music is. And as far as where I have performed, I started from Shillong, like always the local events and everything. But then I started sessioning for the band Soulmate as a folk musician. And from there, my journey as a session musician actually started. We started off with a small show for the soundtrack, the show soundtrack in I believe I forgot one of the channels over there. But then we have toured to Pune for the NH7, Bombay, and many other regions, and as well as Shillong is included.
That's wonderful. Okay, coming to you, Denzil.
Yes.
So you're into sound design and anything to do with musical.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not very. Like, even if I were to speak of this, I'm not really educated, or I don't really know much about it. So exactly how do you draw inspiration to do what it is that you do?
So basically, like I've said earlier, I've always been intrigued by the sounds that were created in so many various forms of media, right?
Yes.
So I ventured towards studying music, of course, but not really getting into any particular music instrument. So as I studied the music course, again I also completed my degree from St. Anthony's College. So thereabout also I learned about these traditional instruments, which I am also a Khasi boy, so I needed to learn these traditional instruments. So by learning these traditional instruments, I started figuring out that okay, Western music, like Freddy has told, Western music is totally different from what traditional is. So there are also customs which are related to the music, right? So because of that, the sound designing, and maybe because of there were a lack of studios or maybe proper recording sessions and all those, I started getting into that. So because I started getting into that, I met Freddy, and then when I met Freddy, so there's when we started clicking on making traditional music and all those things. So basically I started working with him in the studio also. I started performing with him in various shows, and I believe I've also went to Delhi and Calcutta for some shows. So basically traditional music also for me has given a sort of a platform to connect with the local artists.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So because I feel like folk music or anything to do with folk instruments, is so diverse, and to be able to include that in the kind of like Western influences and things like that it's a big deal, because it is very different. It is very different also, and to take this music forward is also a great deal. So I applaud you for doing what you do. And all right, so let's just move on. Moving on to the next question is, are there any artists, because I know from your performances and the both of you, and you've performed with and collaborated with many artists from our region, do you have any particular artists that you really enjoyed performing with?
As a session musician, I've always been dedicated to Soulmate, to the band Soulmate. So I found before going there, like I've told you, I've been a session musician for the HTCWO.
Yes.
There were a lot of great singers over there. I won't name so much, but I've met amazing singers with amazing voice, especially with folk tonality. But when it comes to the level of real performances, it's Kong Tipriti.
Yes.
She has that level of, and it feels good when the singer interacts with the musician,
Exactly.
even during performances. So it's always been her as one of my favorite
Yes.
that I enjoy a lot to perform on stage.
And you, Denzel, I'd like to ask you this question, like, because you're into, you're into what you do, and is there a particular kind of, if you were, let's just say, if you were given an opportunity to work on the music for a particular type of movie, or let's just say, because music and movie goes hand in hand, no? Like, they create so much of diversity, and it creates a lot of that circumference that it has. Is there any type of movie or anything that you'd like to collaborate, or let's just say a music director, or anything like, or as a music director, would you like to work on?
So
things like that?
basically, unlike Freddy, I am not a much of a session musician, right? So what I do is basically I sit in the studio, and also an engineer.
Yeah.
So a lot of people with different levels, they come to the studio, right? So I get to work with a lot of amazing artists with a high level or low level, whatever it is. There are also some instances where I have worked with people from outside. Of course, I will not be able to mention their name. But yes, as for your question, I would love to probably work abroad.
Yeah.
Definitely. But that, as of now, I have to do a lot of planning, and I still have to, we have to work hard for it.
Exactly. You know how in 2020, like, COVID happened, and for a lot of us artists and musicians and anybody in the artistic field, actually for everybody, but I feel like especially for musicians and artists in Shillong, it took a lot of time for us to get back on track, So in those years particularly, what did you do? Like, did you jam a lot? Did you create a lot of music, or what? Anything that you did? Can you tell us something about that?
Pre-COVID, we'll go first to pre-COVID.
Yes.
Before COVID, I had created a folk band.
Okay.
But then, due to some of the unforeseen events, we had to discontinue the band. So I started another. It's a funk, hard rock, progressive band.
Wow.
It's a Western band.
Is this band still around?
Yeah, it's still around. It's quite stagnant due to kids.
Of course.
So that's why we're keeping it on hold. There are a lot of materials over there that we have to record. His responsibility. Okay. But then we started that band with a vision, actually.
The vision.
And since Denzel, he plays bass.
Okay.
Which was quite new for me.
Right.
But then, as always, he knows that I play guitar. But then we never had a singer.
Okay.
And unfortunately, we don't sing. Right.
Yeah.
We've tried, but we fail a lot. We have tried a few competitions, which was abroad, I believe, and it was kind of just for fun.
Exactly.
Then we decided, let's write songs, because me and Denzel, I think we are of the same mindset, because we don't like covering other songs.
Exactly.
We believe organic is always the best. So we start writing songs, and then we went to our first competition, right? In the army, one of the army schools, and we had perform. And one of the proudest thing that we say, I got the best guitar player in
nice.
one of the government event. I don't know, I don't remember.
Okay.
But then the jury said, you should find a singer.
Okay.
Because I could talk with my fingers, but I could not sing.
And technically also, we didn't have a drummer at that time. We only had a cajon player who played cajon in the style of drums.
So this was more like a acoustic based, but
No,
also
it was still heavy music.
Electro.
wow. Okay, this is something that I'd
cajon.
love to listen
On
to.
the
I mean,
cajon.
I mean to really go hard on the cajon is this is a different skill set
It was a,
altogether.
it was
no?
a
Yeah.
difficult
Yeah, yeah.
thing.
But then, as you said, the pandemic hit, came, and it was unfortunate for us. And,
Devastating, actually.
Yeah.
because I got relocated to another place, right? The jam pad was somewhere else. So during COVID, it's very difficult to travel,
Exactly.
and we get to go only once in a while,
Mm.
right? So seeing dirt, collecting inside the jam room, and everything is starting to get spoiled. Everything. So
Maintenance was difficult.
yeah,
actually.
maintenance was difficult. So unfortunately we had to stop. But then before that, before we closed down the whole entire studio, we actually, as I told you, we have a band. So we had released one a single, right? And it's there in the one of the social media. So that was we decided let's do it, and let's put our stamp over there, and then we can call it off for a while.
So basically, with this song, what we had already written and recorded the song. So we wanted to do the video, but then the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
So we took a stand and we said, why would we let this pandemic affect us? And the thing is, actually we tried. Maybe if you watch it, maybe you might like it.
Yeah.
Each of us took our own mobile phones and took our own video, and
Yeah.
we how would say, combined it together,
Yeah.
and we made the music video. So based on the music video's lyrics, we made the videos. So you can check that out. Probably we'll give you the link or something.
No, so about this studio, is it still around?
No,
Okay.
I think before COVID ended.
Before COVID
right?
ended.
So you had to shut.
We had to shut it down.
So oh man, that must have been very devastating. So
Yeah.
coming into this next segment, so you've told me that the both of you teach music. So where is it that you teach? And
They call us professors, but we actually
Assistant.
especially for us, for myself, I consider myself more of an instructor.
okay.
So we teach in St. Anthony's College, Shillong.
Mhm.
We teach for the music department for the bachelor students, the
Okay.
bachelor degree students.
Okay.
And I teach guitar, the
All
classical guitar, the music theory, and as well I teach the dutar over there.
Oh wow. And you, Badenzel?
So I teach computer applications like using software, and then I teach sound, and I teach also how to transcribe music and all those things.
Wow, that's beyond me. What's the experience like? Giving and taking, and I feel like teaching is all about. I mean, the more you give, the more you take. So, can you tell us more about this experience?
Before Anthony's College, I used to teach in Shillong School of Music. There's a difference between, because why I'm saying this, because there's a difference between a private school and an academic university or college. When you teach in a university or a college, you have to follow certain syllabus, and sometimes it's just one way, right? Because students, in college, they expect to get a lot of information from a teacher, but they will not open up,
Exactly.
right? But in a private school, it's more of a teacher, it's a friendly relationship with the student. So it doesn't matter which background the student comes in. So that means it could be a small child or a teenager or an old fellow, right? So if we encounter a very talented student, as a teacher, we learn more,
Exactly.
right? Not more, but even the things that you have learned, but their perspective is different. So you learn the same idea, but from a different perspective.
Yeah.
So that entire thing becomes a whole entire new idea for us. So that is a beautiful thing. But in college, or as well, there are a lot of talented students. But as compared to the private students, it's a whole entire new, universe. so to
Yeah.
say. So that is that I feel as a teacher, I do still learn
Yeah.
till today new stuff from my students.
Speaking of like teaching again, like because sometimes in this day and age, I feel like, of course, we have a lot of talented students, like who are instilled, like talent is instilled in them, and then like how would you like describe a situation, let's just say if a student is too technical, like they only want to learn the technical terms or the technicality of the music and things like that. How would you like to change that, or if you want to change that? Because I feel like in that process, of learning so much, you become too technical, and then sometimes you forget about the talent or just free flowing side of music, which I feel is so important, especially if you're a musician, like to be able to gel with everybody. You can't always be the one person who stands out very technically, so how would you like to change that?
It's a very vast question. There are different ways. I myself was a very technical guitar player, and there are two kinds, so to say, basically, of musicians. One who learns by ear, who's a self-taught, and one who learns from a book. Right? The one who learns from a book will always follow instructions until unless you break their mentality. Right? You put them in a situation where they might have a mental breakdown. Then only they will forget all the technicalities and listen to themselves.
Exactly.
While a self-taught is, they would not listen to any instructions, they would go by the feel. So in my class, personally, what I do is I encounter both of them. Some of them, they find it hard in reading music. Some of them, it's very easy for them to read music, but then it's very difficult for them to express music. So for them, what I do is I make special classes like a jam class, right? So without even telling them what is being played, they have to listen and they have to follow or recreate or improvise what they hear.
Exactly.
So that is one of the technique that I use to break out from all of these, instructions, or which is being chained, to one musician.
Yeah. Moving on to this next segment, Ba Freddy and Ba Denzel, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, I think both of you are one of the rarest guitar technicians here in our region, and I'd like to know what got you into this.
Before, as a musician, I had always thought, when as a middle class family, we never had a chance to get those, we call it high-end guitars. We get these budget guitars. So when we play, I always thought to myself, why is it so difficult to play guitar? It takes away the strength. I have to focus on the strength rather than music. And then I start analyzing the guitar. Is it something wrong with the guitar? Because I've put so much energy, like physical energy, in playing this instrument, and it doesn't sound good at all. But then, after years of analyzing the instrument, I found out, it's not properly set. That time, this kind of term was not there in my mind, but it's not properly set up. Then, as a Khasi guy, we have these hands which always, as a boy, in Khasi we call it ktishre, right?
Tinkering and all this.
Yeah. So I start noodling with the guitar, right? I start readjusting a lot of stuff, and it somehow started to feel better. We call the playability becomes more easier. And then when I grew up, I saw these quite a little bit expensive guitars. And when I start playing on those, these are a little easier to play. Then after a few years, again I started, so it's not working at all. And then I met Denzel. I met him, and he explained me a lot of stuff. And that is how I think, we get...
Yeah, basically, he had something that I didn't know, and I had something that he didn't know.
So it was a give and take kind of situation.
Give and take situation, and then we came up with this thing. He said, why not, if we can service?
So it means both of you never underwent any professional training to do this?
Technically, I have had some electronic training because of my sound engineering.
Yes.
So because of that, I am able to, tinker and work with the electronics of some instruments.
Yes.
So, yeah, slight training we had.
Okay.
And for woodworking, my dad used to work with woods.
Okay.
Okay. He makes furnitures, like small, not for people, but for himself. He makes dog kennels.
Oh, wow.
And he taught us how to make. I believe he was also there when we
Yeah.
started making a kennel.
And yeah, my brother also is actually a furniture guy.
Okay.
He does a lot of things also.
Okay, that's amazing.
And my dad taught me how to understand wiring.
Oh.
So you can
wow,
connect the
this
dots.
is exactly. This is a lifelong process of into exactly.
Basically, when we started playing those days, we never had any instructional videos or YouTube or whatever.
I think our parents, our siblings were our YouTube.
Exactly. I mean, like now you can become anything from YouTube
Anything.
tutorials. No, but this has been like I
Yes.
mean like you've been learning for step by step from the time from
Yes.
even from childhood experiences to even here. So I mean, and it's become this, And what is the vision that you have for Frets and Dents?
There are the visions. It's getting the Frets and Dents as a proper brand. And I've always had this itch inside of me that we will have better instruments locally made. Okay, especially the folk music, in the folk instruments, so to say, the duitara or the ksing, we'll have it properly made by us, so that we will have something which is unique from our side. So it's nothing to do with society. It becomes
nothing
somehow with
just about having a quality, consistent product.
Yeah, homegrown.
Yeah.
Homegrown
right,
instruments from Shillong or maybe even from this region,
Yeah.
which we don't. I mean, like very rare.
So we should try to promote that. And all these
Exactly.
things, right?
And anything else that you'd like to add to that, Ba Freddy or Ba Denzel?
We dream of having this big infrastructure, I think so,
Yeah, probably.
for Frets and Dents, because we are great followers of the international brand. The name of the brand is Stuart McDonald, or Stu Mac, and there are other luthiers. We come under the luthiery
Exactly.
subject, right? There are other luthiers all around India. And Frets and Dents had also helped, I think, one of our friend to become a guitar tech.
Okay.
He's situated in Garo Hills,
Okay.
and he's one again very good guitar tech now. So that is the dream, is to encourage everyone, to become better musicians while learning the instrument, how to play, but also understanding the anatomy in depth.
Yes.
That is where, when you go to the core, you become better performer.
Yeah.
And not just playing by the books.
Exactly.
So those are the few dreams of us.
Okay. All right. I think we've also come to the end of this segment and the end of this program. Is there any message that you'd like to give to all of our viewers?
First thing is, talent is there, but you need to work hard. Because hard work will take you a long way rather than talent, right? And will be consistent
Exactly.
Be consistent.
with whatever you have.
And always have creativity, right? Creativity is art, and
Exactly.
music is art, right?
Exactly.
So always be creative in terms of music. Always push yourself harder and harder, and always have the passion to keep on doing it again and again.
Wonderful.
So that's the message.
Thank you so much for having us here, Ba Freddy and Ba Denzel.
Thank you.
I wish you all the luck, and we hope to see you around, or maybe in one of the many stages that awaits us in the future as musicians, or maybe as even friends. Thank you so much for inviting us here and for chatting with us for a short while, and we'll see you around. All right, everybody, we've come to the end of our program. We hope to see you on the next one.